Discussion. Now we have a presentation from Constantine Polychronopoulos, who's the CEO of Byte Mobile, one of the web acceleration platforms and in general content acceleration platforms that tend to be focusing towards wireless networks. So with that, do you need any technical assistance? No.
Thank you.
No.
Thank you, Dina. I want to start by thanking Dina Papagiannaki and Pablo Rodriguez and Gaetano Carbajo for inviting me to participate in this. Secondly, I want to apologize because I think I'm hit by jet lag badly. So I may come across a little slow. I also got somewhat confused when I was invited. I saw Technical Summit, Telefonica Technical Summit, so I said, what is more appropriate than talk about 4G, the opportunities, the threats to mobile operators, etc. So I made a presentation that was Byte mobile-centric. Then I saw 2021, and I said, oops, we're talking about future here. I'm not good at prognosticating the future, but I said, I'll give it a shot. So I went back and forth. I changed the presentation a little bit. The latter suits me better because it brings out my old self, the academic side of myself. But it's also difficult to split, my Byte Mobile alter ego from my old life, the academic life. So, by the way, when it comes to YouTube, we've solved the problem in real life, David. So I still stuck, the presentation with the committed title here, 4G. It's a blessing. It's not really a curse. It's a threat. It's a headache. But it's more than anything else, it's a great opportunity. And why a blessing? Well, it brings the days that we have all been waiting for, the days of the mobile, the true broadband access, wireless access. It's the beginning, but it's happening. And there's no question that what we're witnessing in the last few years is not just an evolution. In our business, we're used to evolution. What's happening really is transformational. It's really a revolution. And this revolution, the wireless internet, as opposed to wireless networking, the wireless internet, that is going to become a true reality with 4G and the promise of multi-megabit pipes is going to be more profound across all business sectors than the early days of the internet. So most of us remember the 90s, the revolution of the internet, and I believe the wireless internet is going to be an even more profound revolution. So it's a great opportunity. It's a blessing for mobile operators because they've been talking for years now for the days of mobile data, of the mobile internet. And all of a sudden, we saw the data flooding, the networks and the networks crumbling. And we are at the beginning of the hockey stick data traffic growth. We talk about 2x year-over-year growth. And we're going to be surprised because probably we're going to surpass those projections. So are we prepared? Are the mobile operators prepared? Well, I'll leave it up to the rest of you to figure that out because there are as many opinions as many people in the room. But I think if we look at the lessons we've learned from the early days, we'll all come to the same conclusion that we need to be proactive. We cannot expect that data traffic and new applications are going to happen at the same pace as the network evolution. And we'll talk more about this, but video is going to be part of pretty much every application. Rich media. Machine-to-machine communication, the automated highway, for example. Somebody mentioned this morning. It's happening in the US. The Department of Transportation is funding vehicular networks that are going to be an extension of mobile, of wireless infrastructure networks eventually. But can they be offered today in a commercial setting? Well, the technology is there, but the latency and the lack of coverage makes it very, very difficult to offer it as a subscriber or a consumer service. We can talk on and on. There are several applications here that are coming of age, and eventually they will all contribute to accelerating this, what we call the data flooding. Now, why is it a curse? Well, as I said, it's not a curse, it's mostly a headache. Mobile operators face the big problem of CapEx commitment. They need to expand their, the capability of their infrastructure, but revenue doesn't grow at the same pace. So data is taking off. If you throw more infrastructure at the data, you're going to empty the bank. So it's a non-sustainable model. You need to come up with a better way of addressing the ability of the network to carry this traffic, and everybody's scratching their head. How are we going to do that? Of course, there is not a single point, a single solution that addresses all the challenges. It's going to be an end-to-end comprehensive approach. But as we look at the headaches here and the threats, the real threats, one thing that we need to be cognizant of is the fact that competition has changed too. Mobile operators have something that nobody else has, and that's spectrum. That's a unique asset. But there is a lot of cannibalization as well. The internet, the IT, what David called the IT community, are becoming smart. Google, for example, has been executing on a very consistent strategy. And in many ways, they cannibalize. Netflix cannibalized the network, not just the wireless network, but also the ISPs, right? They flood the network with traffic. They make the money, but Comcast and whoever is there, your favorite ISP, is left in the cold. So there are threats there. There are threats also that are more qualitative in the sense that subscribers, at the end of the day, care about the service and the quality of the service. They don't care about the access, the ISP, the provider, unless the provider comes front and center in what we call the quality of experience. We spoke about the disparity between, the gap between data growth and revenue growth. Data growth is exponential. Revenue growth is linear at best. And then we have another phenomenon that compounds the problem that we face, and that is the fact that we have the proverbial, you give them an inch, they want a mile. You give a fat pipe, users and application providers are very innovative. They'll find a way to cram the pipe, to make sure that the pipe is congested. And we see that as Byte Mobile, we have about 145 network operators as customers. Out of them, 46 commercial deployments of video. We're the only vendor that has that can speak of 40 or even more than just a handful of video optimization deployments around the world, many of them in Europe. And these are examples of real operators. And you see that there is a strong correlation between how big the pipe you give to the subscriber is and how much video the subscriber watches. It comes as no surprise. So, but that compounds the problem. You can all guess who that operator is in the US. I cannot speak I cannot give the name, but everybody can guess. As soon as they came out with wireless broadband, Netflix killed their network. People were watching Netflix all the time with laptops, dongles, accessing their network. So we see this trend across geographies, but mostly in Europe, of course, and in North America. Things are starting to follow the same pattern in Asia, South America, etc. So we keep talking about problems. Why is 4G an opportunity? Well, as I said earlier, operators have something that nobody else has, and that's spectrum. Spectrum is the real asset here. And we know what Google tried to do with spectrum. But we cannot we cannot afford to not recognize the fact that we live in an industry that is dominant, but it's moving at a pace that is completely out of sync with the pace of innovation and evolution that we are all familiar with in the internet community, in the Silicon Valley community, let's say, in the IT community. Okay, networks are still plagued today with the circuit switched, I don't want to say the PSTN mentality, that's a little too much, but still the voice mentality. And as we move towards the convergence, the great equalizer, which is the IP, the Internet Protocol being the great equalizer, we need to close this gap of pace of acceleration and have the wireless telco community catch up in speed with the Internet community. Otherwise, Google will eat our lunch. It's as simple as that. and the likes of Google. We don't have people from Google here, do we? Not that it makes any difference. I already went through that, the trends that give rise to a new network paradigm. And what I mean by that is the fact that we believe, Byte Mobile, that the day is here now to start becoming aggressive about evolving the network and addressing economies of scale, leveraging the fact that we provide now, operators provide broadband to sophisticated subscribers, and we have key technologies that are coming of age, maturing, like cloud computing in particular, and virtualization. Now, I mean virtualization in a broader context, both network virtualization as well as virtualization in the classical sense, sandboxing. And what does that mean to the network? Well, if we look at from the subscriber perspective or the operator perspective, there are 5 broad categories that this evolution needs to address. Total traffic management, the ability to manage traffic, both from the quality of service, quality of user experience perspective, but also network efficiency perspective. Adaptive control has to do with, this is something that we use in Byte Mobile, the ability to sense how the user behavior changes based on geography, based on location, and based on application. Because user experience can be great for the same user for application A and can be pathetic, very poor for application B at the same time. Likewise, user experience can be great for the same application at this location, can be extremely poor a few meters or a few hundreds of yards away from here. And I'll come back to that. Global intelligence, the ability to analyze, to have a quick view, if possible, real-time view of what's going on in the network and how the traffic pattern affects overall user experience. Smart caching and optimization, content steering, these are all elements of what we call optimization. And as Byte Mobile, we focus on optimization as a strategy, not a solution. I have a slide that I usually use, and it shows a big tree. It has 2 branches. One is qualitative optimization, the other is quantitative optimization. And it has, under those branches, pretty much everything you can imagine that addresses anything from user experience, anything that addresses user experience or network efficiency falls under the umbrella of optimization. So it's a broad set of technologies from optimizing the radio, the antenna, and the radio protocols, the MAC layer at the radio protocol level, to optimizing the transport, because we all know TCP can fail miserably, to optimizing content at different levels, different type of content. Those together come to bring tremendous improvements in infrastructure efficiency, and therefore ROI on per capex, per dollar of capex, as well as maximize user experience. But if we take let me jump here a few slides that are not so important. If you take a network-centric view, from the network architecture point of view, we see a trend that, I'll come back to this, it's best described by this picture. And I was arguing about this with Cayetano yesterday. This is a typical view of a 3G network, where we have tens of thousands of base stations. If I use AT&T as an example, 70,000 base stations, and that doesn't include the pico or micro cells. And you've got thousands of other infrastructure boxes from RNCs. And I have here the logical boxes that support the mobility, the RNCs, the SGSNs, GGSNs. If you include the aggregation routers and ATM switches and optical switches that many networks have, etc., you have dozens of boxes that a session has to cross to go from a user equipment, a user session, to the content side. And every box introduces latency, etc., but to the operator, it's a cost. And we now are in the day where, I won't take that, the Byte Mobile sign off that network, but I couldn't anyway. But it does show how we're evolving our thinking and our products. We're going to evolve in the next few years. I don't think it's going to take a decade. I don't think it's going to be 2021 before we get to that point. But the network is going to be truly flat, infrastructure-wise. And by getting to that point, we'll have the opportunity to extend the network, have higher reliability, very high performance, and very a smart way of managing traffic in an elastic way, so that you have escape valves. You have a note there that in 4G, you can think of it as, we call it micro EPC. You aggregate, you put everything on a single platform that has the core capability, the access, the authentication, optimization, aggressive optimization, the ability to distribute content, digest content from multiple sources, and still maintain a central way of managing this network. But you cut the CapEx by an order, maybe 2 orders of magnitude. You cut OpEx by probably 3 orders of magnitude. And most importantly, you boost the ability to manage ever-growing data traffic. The interesting thing is that if you look at where we are today, things are happening in that direction, except that it's not led by operators. It's led by Google and Amazon, and some of these service and content providers are aspiring to become global, de facto global, you wish, operators, right? Because they are visible to the end user. A couple of things about going back to the user experience. I want to stay here for a second. Oops. I have 3 more minutes. Okay. So what we do at Byte Mobile, let me say a couple of things about Byte Mobile. We have a platform that is a single point. It's a bump in the network. We are not visible to the content side. We are not visible to the subscriber. We break the pipe, and we do optimization at multiple layers. By doing so, we have visibility of the session and the context in which the session is embedded. In other words, the entire traffic that goes to a particular cell, and we are now making the platform sector aware. So user experience for us is a qualitative notion that breaks down to specific quantitative indexes. If we take YouTube, for example, a real network deploying our platform, we measured user experience watching YouTube. And for every 60 minutes of video, 60 seconds of video, average video size was 2.1 minutes, very short videos. For every 60 seconds, we observed 70 seconds of stall. That was a 1x RTT network. We put in the optimization platform. We took the stall from 70 seconds per 60 seconds of content down to 10 seconds of stall time per 60 seconds of video. So that's how we measure quality of experience. Taking the qualitative that can be subjective and translating down to objective. The same measurement was in another network. We demonstrated 70% reduction in stall time. So all of this is able because we break the pipe, if you wish, once. We look at what the user does, we maintain history of the user, and we apply what you can call elastic optimization that can go up if we sense congestion, we become very aggressive at optimizing everything from the protocol, the transport protocol, to the way we manage the traffic. We reduce the traffic using compression or using transcoding, improving the transport, the application layer protocol, HTTP. Somebody mentioned that the likes of Google are coming up with new transports. That's true. Speedy. You may know Speedy, right? Supposed to be the way of doing HTTP traffic in the wireless networks. So things are moving very fast there, and I think that by finding ways to evolve the network and keep up with the evolution in the internet, operators will be able to leverage the key asset, which is infrastructure and subscriber ownership that remains unique. Thank you.
Any questions before coffee?
What scale do you need to deploy the byte mobile boxes?
What scale? So the box sits on the GI interface, right next to the GGSN. And we are working now with, we're working very closely with IBM. I can disclose that. And we are bringing that capability very close to the edge. As the GI becomes more distributed, operators have to do that, create more GI POPs. We are becoming more distributed with that. Now, if you ask me what is the throughput density of a single byte mobile platform, today we run on a chassis, on a 12 or 14U chassis, and we can optimize up to 20 gigabits per second on a single chassis. But that is with lossless optimization, what we call lossless optimization. If we enable lossy optimization, that can go down to 10 gigabits per second per chassis.
And how do you handle secure traffic? If it's, let's say, enterprise traffic that you need to handle going over a public network and you need to optimize it. It's encrypted traffic. How would you run your optimizations in the byte mobile?
So optimization is applied at multiple layers, right? It's probably in excess of 4 or 5 dozens of algorithms that come together, right? And if you're dealing with an encrypted traffic, what you do is you focus on the trans rating. You can still paste traffic. You sense what the device does. And you can fool the player, for example, about what is the play time, the playback time. You don't need to know what the traffic itself is. Now, we have developed proprietary technology that allows us, for example, to tell a fully encrypted video traffic from a fully encrypted web browsing traffic. So as long as you can tell this session is streaming, this session is file download, video on demand, or just web browsing. You can do a lot by knowing the type of session without knowing the actual content.
Okay, I can ask the last question. So one of the things that you miss by monitoring the GN link is the precise location of the user, because you cannot track him across the network as he may be handing over from cell to cell. Do you think that this is an important limitation? And is there a way to overcome this so that you can actually pinpoint in space?
Absolutely. As I said, absolutely, Dina. You're right on. I didn't really take the opportunity here to talk about Byte Mobile. I used Byte Mobile slides to talk about my perspective about the future. We are moving in that direction. Actually, we have alpha version of a product. We are at the edge already, and by that I mean very close to the base station or at the base station. So we are sector aware. We leverage the other capabilities in the network. We are not the ones getting location information, but we get feeds and we react to that. Thank you.